Greetings, punks, goths, metalheads, Herberts, Herbetters, Martians and subterranean folk. How you all doing? My name's John and this is the Health Anarchist channel. Well, today I'm going to have a chat with you guys and I'm going to chat about what it was like before the internet for alternative people. And the time period I'm talking about is kind of late 80s, early 1990s, when I was about and first coming into the scene. So let's get into it. So first of all, I want to talk about gigs, concerts, and recently we've had all this controversy about bands charging ridiculous prices for tickets. So I thought I'd get into gigs first. So back then you used to look out for gig posters on billboards when you went out. Bands posters advertising gigs would be posted up. You'd also get handed flyers at gigs, and also in some of the music papers such as New Musical Express and Sounds had advertised gigs. So that'd be your main source of finding out basically. And if there was a gig that was on, say a band coming to town that we really liked, we'd sometimes photocopy flyers ourselves, or even one of my friends would make up his own flyers and we'd go handing them out at other gigs so people would know about the gigs that were coming up, just for the good of the scene, so we'd get a good turnout. We weren't being paid for doing it, that was totally off our own backs, but you used to do things because you wanted a good healthy scene. And when you actually bought tickets, there was none of this buying online back then. Oh no. What you'd have to do is you'd have to go to the ticket office at a venue, say at Manchester University, which you can still actually go to the ticket office, I think, and get tickets from there, or somewhere like the Apollo, you'd go and buy the tickets from the box office. Now, if it was a popular gig that was being put on, then sometimes you'd have to queue up a bit, but there was none of this ridiculous nonsense that you get nowadays. Thinking back, I think some of the sort of famous pop bands, I think you did used to get people queuing up and stuff, you know, overnight sometimes, but certainly not as crazy as what it's become, trying to get internet tickets. I still always prefer to buy them in person if I can, and I prefer physical tickets because it's a nice memento. Not if it's a plain boring ticket, but if it's a nice ticket, it's got the band logo on, it's nice colours and stuff. I always like to keep those as a memento for the gigs. Next up, I wanted to talk about clothes, like where do you buy your alternative clothes? Well, most of the time back in the day, you'd go into a city centre. I lived in Manchester. So you go into Manchester city centre and there was an underground market called Oasis, I think, or we called it Oasis. You used to get lots of alternative punk, goth and metal stuff from there. And there was also the big famous place called Affleck's Palace, which is like an indoor market over several stalls, selling mainly alternative stuff like punk, goth, metal, rock, hippie, you name it, and it's still going strong. I've actually got a video I did quite a while ago with me having a walk around there, and I might do another one soon. It would be nice to do a video there again, bring you guys with me. So yeah, you mainly go in person and buy stuff yourself physically from shops, but there was like online catalogues. You get little adverts in music magazines sometimes, advertising mail order alternative clothes. So basically you'd write a letter asking for them to send you one of their catalogues, and when you got it, that was quite like internet shopping, because you could look through it and you'd pick what you wanted and you'd fill in an order form and send off a check with it usually, or a postal order, and what you'd do is you'd send it off and then your stuff would come via mail. And you know, that was quite similar to internet shopping, I guess, but obviously there was no internet shopping. So, and also you get distros, like little people doing distros, doing maybe selling bits of clothes, patches, but mainly music, vinyl mainly, and cassette tapes. So you get these little distros. There used to be a great one called Ruptured Ambitions, I think it's still going actually, and that was great, pre-internet, for getting your music and your merchandise, hair dyes, things like that. Another way you'd get really good clothes, like if you've got to see a punk band or a goth band, say, or a metal band, and I went to all those types of gigs, you buy the band's official merch, not just theirs. Usually they'd have the support band selling their merch as well. And some of these bands, a lot of them, I say the vast majority of them, are so underground that the only chance you'd ever get to get their stuff was either through a distro or buying it in person from the merch store at the gig. And I still love going to gigs where they have a merch store for the band. I always love visiting the merch store when I go to see Doyle, the Misfits guitarist band. They always have great merch. And usually you can buy the music at these merch stalls as well. And for an example, I'll show you this. So this is the record I was talking about recently. This was my first goth record. It's Alien Sex Fiend, Trip to the Moon. And you'd only really be able to buy this back in the day. You might be able to get it from a distro if the record label had a distro, but mainly you'd be buying it at the gig in person. But this was the one that was gifted to me, and I absolutely love the artwork on it. This is like the ultimate goth record, the way it's packaged. And that's fantastic. And you've got the big artwork there. And this was marketed as the world's first 11-inch, not 12-inch, an 11-inch record. And to me, it's still my favourite. I'm very fond of it because it was a gift when I was younger. And I'd say it's probably my best goth record, my favourite. So, meeting other alternative people. Nowadays, it's really easy with the internet, but it's kind of good and bad, I think, because back in the day before the internet, you'd meet people at gigs, usually, or going to a club. Sometimes we'd meet up in city centre in the park, but these days a lot of it's done online. And what we used to do was, if you used to meet people and you got on with them, you'd make new friends in real life. And you'd swap phone numbers with people, get the phone number, so you could contact them. There was none of this internet then. So, it involved picking up a phone and actually physically phoning someone up. Or a lot of the time, I remember back in the day, you'd go into phone boxes, and I used to hate phone boxes. They always used to smell of strong urine 9 out of 10 times, or vomit, where people had been sick. Drunk people used to vomit in phone boxes for some strange reason, but maybe when they were ringing for a taxi home, I don't know. But yeah, you'd phone people up, and nowadays you can meet people on social media and you can chat, and that is great. But back in the day, like I said before, 1 in 50 people might be an arsehole. But back in the day, you could easily ignore them. If you talked to someone and they were like snooty, didn't want to talk to you, looked down the nose at you, or they were hostile to you, you could say, right, I'm off, and you just walk away and leave it. Nowadays, though, with social media, if you're in groups and stuff, shared interest groups, if someone, you can't just walk away from them as such. You can ignore someone, but if you put a comment, someone might put something snooty, you can ignore it, but they can keep carrying on writing comments unless, an admin or someone takes them down. So that's changed a lot. Back in the day when you used to meet people in real life, if someone was, negative to you, if someone was being an arsehole, they had to think very carefully about it because, some people might punch them in the face or something. I don't agree with violence or doing that at all. I think violence is a low form of human behaviour. If you have to fight, you fight to protect yourself or your loved ones, and that's about it in my view. But anyway, if you was going to be negative and an arsehole to someone, you took the risk of being punched or beat up. Nowadays with the internet, people can hide behind the internet. They can make all sorts of negative comments and not fear being punched. The risk with that is I've seen some people who are a bit trollish or negative online, is they'll carry on that behaviour in real life because they don't know any better, and eventually they'll pick on the wrong person and someone will hit them, and you know, it's just a countdown basically till that happens. I wish people wasn't like that, negative people, but that's the world. There's lots of negative people about. So buying music was very different back then. As I said, with the concerts, you could buy some of the band's merch officially at the concerts, and that'd be tapes or albums. A lot of them wouldn't be in the high street. Some of the bigger bands, they were in the high streets, and you could go like to record shops like HMV, and you could sift through the albums looking for stuff that you might like, or they had second-hand record shops which were really good as well. They had some of the more obscure bands sometimes. So you'd be buying physically albums, vinyl albums, or vinyl singles. There was none of this buying online back then. It didn't exist. We did used to tape music a lot. We'd make say if one of a bunch of friends would get an album, they'd usually tape it off, and loads of people would have a copy of that tape because you could replicate it. Or we'd make mixtapes, which were compilation tapes of lots of different bands. So when I say cassette tape, it's one of these. Seems a bit weird talking about these now because it doesn't seem that long ago, but it was. But this was the easiest way to share music. It was supposed to be illegal, but everyone did it. And, you know, you'd be sharing tapes with other people. Or you'd be making your own tapes if you had an album. You know, inside these things, you have little cards where you can write all the album tracks or all the different bands, and you get stickers with these, and you could put stickers on the tape to label it, like, you know, goth mixtape or punk mixtape, or an album and the band which it was. So yeah, we used to swap tapes a lot, kept the music scene alive. And then of course CDs came along. That was kind of late 80s, early 90s, but more people were buying them in the early 90s. They were more affordable. But a lot of people still preferred vinyl when the CDs come out because they like the size of them and you get the nice artwork and everything. And that's why I like vinyl mainly, more than a sound thing. I mean, if you look at this, for example, it's like a totally different experience than getting a small CD with a booklet. But anyway, CDs became more popular. People moved with the times, and eventually nearly everyone had a CD player. But you still had the purists who loved the albums, and I do still love the vinyl, but I have much more on CD. When I was saying before about we all did tapes, yeah, we did do tapes, but the ultimate prize would be to have that band's album on vinyl. So the other thing that I wanted to cover that's very different is watching films. There was no internet to watch videos on, and you couldn't watch things instantly. So basically, to watch a new film, you'd have to go to the cinema, and you know, it was quite an exciting experience and an exciting event going to see a film, because you know, it wasn't just instant, you could watch it, you had to make an event of it. And I can remember back in the day going in the late 80s, and everyone was smoking cigarettes. There were like ashtrays on the back of chairs, and I was smoking at the time, and I remember doing that, and yeah, it seems crazy now. But yeah, that's what happened. Going to see horror movies. Yeah. And of course, you'd watch things on TV. There wasn't as many TV channels back then. And you'd have videos, VHS videos, so there'd be lots of people borrowing your videos, or you go to a video shop, which was like a library where you could loan a video. And yeah, that was quite big, going to the video shop when the new film come out on video, and you go and rent a new horror movie or whatever movie you wanted to watch. So yeah, that was different. It was very much more of an event watching a new film, and quite exciting because it was much more of an event, which it's like, you know, everything's instant now. So good points about now. What I like is I do like being able to watch films, on Netflix or Amazon. I do really like that because I don't watch TV. I don't have a TV to watch normal TV channels. I'm not interested in soap operas or reality TV. I do like documentaries and I do like movies though. So for me, it's great being able to have those things online and being able to pick and choose what I want to watch. So that's great. Music wise, I still do prefer having physical music rather than digital music. I'd rather have a CD or a vinyl album. I just prefer having the product. When I buy something and it's purely digital and there's not even any artwork that comes with it, I feel like I've been shortchanged a bit. I feel like I'm paying good money. I'm just like getting a digital product. I mean, I have bought like that before, but it just feels, like I said, I feel like I've been shortchanged a bit. I think you should at least get a digital artwork package with it, which contains, a digital version of the CD or album booklet and the album art. When it just comes on its own, the music, I'm just not into that. Although the music is the most important thing, I think it should come as a package, especially with things like goth and punk. The artwork's very important, I think, and with metal music. I do like socialising in the real world still at gigs. I don't go to clubs so much now unless there's a gig on. But yeah, I do prefer real world socialising. There's good points about now is that people can socialise into alternative subcultures. People can socialise online, but you can get a lot of people giving wrong or bad advice very easily. You get all these TikTok goths who aren't really goths and, people giving the wrong advice. So, there is good stuff and there's good people on the internet and on social media as such, but you need to be very careful and, just be careful who you're talking to or what things people are saying. It is the World Wide Web and you get all sorts of people saying all sorts of things. So just use a bit of common sense and caution. So anyway, I've been chatting for a while now, so I think I'm going to wrap up this video now. So until the next video, don't forget, be different, stay weird and stay free. Bye.